Hi everyone! In this video I'm going to try and plunge into a very complex and maybe sometimes underestimated subject, which is color. There are a lot of videos out there on YouTube or other platforms in which they explain the basic artist's color wheel in depth, but there's way more to that and it simply brings your work to the next level. Let's get straight into it to find out more. First of all, I think it's important for us to ask a few questions. What is color and how is it formed? How do I use it in my paintings? And why is it so important for me to study it? Color is just light bent at different wavelengths. If a beam of light meets a prism, it will get separated through refraction into all the colors of a rainbow based on the wavelength of each color. Red has the longest wavelength of the spectrum of visible light, while violet has the shortest one, thus dispersing at different angles. The traditional color wheel is a variation of the first color wheel ever proposed by Sir Isaac Newton. As you probably already know, the basic color wheel contains the most precious information for artists, as they regard as primary colors red, yellow, and blue. That's because in the collective thinking, one can obtain any color using these three hues. On the color wheel, red, yellow, and blue are spaced evenly as primary colors, and in between there are mixtures of secondary colors, violet, green, and orange. Complement colors are set vis-a-vis from each other. As an artist, you should always have in mind that the standard pairs of complements are yellow-violet, red-green, and orange-blue. When blending them at different ratios, one can get some really beautiful grays which you cannot obtain using only black and white. The issue with this color wheel is that the human eye does not function like that. Light travels through the eye and lands on the most distant layer of the eye bulb, which is called the retina. In the retina, there is one type of cells which translate light into impulses and help you understand the world around you. But each cell can translate only one wavelength, and that is red, blue, or green. These are the primary colors of the visible spectrum and the way in which humans and primates perceive light. Their secondaries are shown in the CYMK wheel, also known as the Yarmby wheel, yellow, magenta, and cyan. By viewing this wheel, you can easily see that the complements are slightly different: blue-yellow, red-cyan, and green-magenta. You can experiment with color perception in this way by watching Jake Bussel's video on the Yarmby wheel. I'll pop the link to his amazing video in the description. I think it's fantastic to be aware of the real way in which we perceive light and color, as it can help you understand the blending process better, thus bringing colors on your palette which you wouldn't have been able to blend before with the traditional wheel. I believe that incorporating this knowledge in your paintings and trying to figure out which color wheel to use in which situations will help you take the next step towards being a more proficient artist. The idea is to experiment as much as you can and to realize which colors suit your art style. I recommend you to read James Gurney's Color and Light book as well as his blog in order to deepen your art knowledge. Having all this in mind, I decided to plunge into my demonstration of today and to pick yellow, green, and violet-blue as complementary colors. In this way, I hope to create harmony in the painting and to experiment with a color palette I haven't used before. I picked a monochromatic reference photo from Pixabay so as to grasp the contrast between the colors I'm going to use. This is a painting done in acrylics on paper, so the colors will behave a bit differently than they would on a cotton canvas. I'm using ultramarine blue, carmine red, primary yellow, and olive green deep. As you can see, I have started with a background, not trying to get my colors right from the very beginning. I'm merely trying to figure out the values I'm going to use, how the colors will work together, where I want each color to be, and so on. Being only a painting done in a sketchbook, I'm not too concerned about the final result. It's good practice to experiment with different color palettes or other skills you want to improve in a sketchbook, as it eliminates pressure and stress, but at the same time, it makes you kind of responsible for your work. You want a sketchbook to look pretty, but it doesn't really matter if it doesn't turn out exactly how you expected. As you can notice, I have blended some grays for the face of the angel. It was obtained using only the colors I had available for this painting, and that is a yellowish green and purple, which are complementary colors on the Yarnby wheel, mixed with white. I haven't used black at all for the whole process, and I recommend you to try not using black either, because the colors one can obtain only by using complementary colors from each color system are rich in variety and deeper and more interesting. So for the whole process, I have only used the 4 colors mentioned above. I recommend you to try and blend these colors at least in the beginning, rather than using them straight from the tube. Unblended colors are more saturated. By blending them together, not only will your palette be more rich, but the contrast created in the painting will be stronger. Try using the colors taken directly from the tube more at the end of your work, so as to emphasize those specific areas and let the less important areas, so to say, for the gray zone. In the end, I'm using a palette knife to give more structure and a stereoscopic feeling to the painting. I actually didn't like the painting so much before using this technique, but now I think it's lighter and a bit more vibrant. I think it's important to criticize your painting during the process and to spend a bit more time on it than you would normally would, just to give yourself the time to come up with better solutions to perfect different areas in the painting. So this is the end result. I think these colors match very well together and is definitely useful knowledge to be applied in larger pieces. In the future, I'll try to incorporate the Yarnby wheel more in my paintings and maybe even mix the 2 color wheels in the same piece. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and learned something useful from it. If you like my work and want to learn to paint alongside me, hit the subscribe button to follow for more. Thank you and goodbye!